So my phone needed to chill a bit, but yeah. So bit peak sort of drama and stuff. What is it based on? It's based off several novels talking about the fire. Sophocles, Antigone. Yeah, Antigone. Not that I've read that, but yeah. So that's two of the books I've read in the past month or two or something. And here's another. It's called The Incendiaries. I forget when I finished this. Maybe like 3 weeks ago or whatever. And this is about honestly, this is when it gets kind of like, I don't want to be like critic bro, because like I enjoy reading and shit, but it's a bit like it could be part. I don't get like the vibe of what this kind of character would be in this book, The Incendiaries. But there's this Phoebe, Will, and John Leal, 3 characters it switches between. And like the characters here, I honestly don't think had like the best kind of like tone of voice or stuff. And I don't know, it's another one of those sort of tragic backstory is my character sort of things. Of course, it's like an unfair sort of like, a lot of people have like tragic backstories and that's their character or whatever. But I mean, when I read books, I do like comfy, but I also do tend to want to find like a good meaning behind it or something. And this one I just found vague because it's like Christoid stuff and sort of like this abortion clinic bombing. This one I found actually, this is one where the characters, and I didn't realize until like, I don't know, a weekend reading this book, that it's like this is someone's butt, this is someone's groin, that's someone's breasts. And I like the book cover for that reason. And the colorful colors are also colorful. It's just very like subtle, but still kind of like sort of risque. It's a cool book cover, and it's a bit mundane of a story, admittedly, compared to like the rest of these, which are about kind of like sort of intrigue and stuff like that. But it's more interesting, I think, in a way, because it centers around these 3 characters. What are their names? There's Bilquis, there's Jenna, and then there's the third one, whatever her name was. But that they go with different decisions regarding romance and sort of family lives, professional lives. They all live in Britain at first, and they have this like comfy thing going on, but then getting out of school and having to deal with like familial conflicts with like religion and romantic partners. They go different ways, the 3 of them. What are their names? What's the third one's name? Malak. And it's like, I think, an interesting thing where the small kind of becomes large. But of course there's not like much like large sort of like grand narrative adventure stuff in here, though there's certain hints of like when Malak and Jenna are in like the desert, and they have this kind of like realizations, and the states the characters are in. Like people, I guess, don't talk about personality the right way, because I guess we confuse like characters having like a strong personality with like that's their character, when I don't feel like you have to have like, oh, this trait, that trait, the other trait, because in the first place, look at your friends and like other people. How different are they from each other? The extent to which they're characterized is really dependent on your interactions with them. The kind of interesting thing, and which isn't to say that these characters aren't well characterized either, just that they're not too like specific of characters. They're not like really trope filled. They're quite like ordinary, sort of. One's trying to be a lawyer, one's I forget what Malak does. Teaching English is what she does, and one's also just finishing college a bit later than the other two, Jenna. And the experiences they go through, the bad things, the boring things, the stressful things, I found very relatable personally, which is why I appreciated it as a novel. Sort of a good like point of view, I'd say, especially, which is what the book's really about, is point of view. There's a sort of three protagonists, and there's deuteragonists, like or antagonists in the story, and just kind of supporting characters and like, just you see these characters and you see the people they interact with, their family, friends, and it's a very interesting thing that shows you how you kind of like mix into the world, but we also see ourselves as separate. So I'd say that's my favorite of the books so far. Then this is like non-fiction, while the other four were like fiction. It's IOU by the other one was by Salma El-Wardani, and this is by John Lanchester. It's about the 2008 financial crisis, and it's good. I like it. Technical, I'd call it, because I was reading, and I don't think like there should be quite a sort of jump down from like fiction to nonfiction, because I think there's different types of nonfiction, like an atlas, which is just kind of a bunch of facts and figures, would be like the peak nonfiction, where they're kind of related. It's a collection of things, whereas this I'd argue is a bit more of a narrative, and I'd argue also that there's different kind of persuasion, education, persuasion, information, entertainment, and the different sort of mission statements of books, one over the other. That's kind of basically what determines whether they're kind of like fiction or nonfiction, what they prioritize, what they deprioritize, truthfulness, accuracy, a certain narrative to it. But it's a good thing on debt. It goes into things in a way that's not too complicated, but goes into the complicated stuff. Doesn't like make a dog's breakfast of it. Futures, options, gives a sort of basic explanation of these, and credit default swaps and so on. Special purpose acquisition companies, I forget if they are different vehicles and sort of manipulations of corporate law, and the sort of evolution of markets to adapt to all these different things, which are supposed to hedge for risk, but eventually lead to this, to borrow another Greek thing, flying too close to the sun, Icarus shit. So I'd recommend that book if you like reading about things that are informative in a more concrete way, but not too concrete. Not concrete where it's like, North Korea painting a train tunnel onto a mountain and asking you to run into it at top speed. But it's a good book. And now I'm going to return those 5 books and try to find some books on the Abbasids or Umayyads or something like that, or Fatimids. So later.